Hello, everyone. I'm joined today with Pawkeshup. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You?
Not too bad. So, we're here to talk about GamerGate.
Again.
Every time you think you escape, we drag you back in.
It's more like a recurring bad dream at this point. Just because it's like it's dead. It's been dead. Please let it die. But at least this is like a post mortem. This should you call your entire book the post mortem.
I got a,
10 years.
I've got another name I think I'm really happy with, but I'm not gonna say it out loud yet because you know how people are. Someone's gonna purposely copyright the name like 2 seconds after I say
Yeah.
it. That way, I can't actually publish the book under that name.
Yeah. No, don't. It's what I mean. Given the subject matter, don't because you'll get trolled. It,
Oh, 1,000%. All right, man. Well, hey, tell me about your GamerGate experience.
when I was a young lad. um I- you had questions you were going to ask me, so now you're gonna put me on the spot and try and come up with a whole thing.
Oh, I'm very informal.
Yeah, you're very informed. You sent me a list of questions. You're like, I'm going to ask you the question. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just answer the questions and thinking about answering. Now you're like, just spin me a tale, Pawkeshup. Please spin me the tale of GamerGate.
Take a
When I was
seat.
a
Take
young,
a seat.
when I stay a while and listen.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, in essence, like most people in gaming, I got involved when the hashtag started being a thing, and having been a gamer for since I was 5, and having seen the gaming press go from at least halfway decent to completely terrible, I was like, hey, maybe there'll be some improvement here. And then the thing happened, and now we're all racist, Zionist, Nazi, what else? Misogynist, hateful, transphobe, etc., 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 etc. For not wanting the gaming press to be awful.
So, just going meta for a second. The questions are more of an outline.
Yep.
I probably should have specified that a little bit more. But but yeah, what made you think that this hashtag that you saw on Twitter, or is it where you first saw it on Twitter?
Yes, of course. Where else?
Well, you'd be surprised. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you know what? I saw an article. I saw a video."
I suppose. I mean, the true normie crowd, us shitlords are living on Twitter, so I'm not shocked
All
that I
right,
found it there. And I've been on Twitter for way too goddamn long, way too long. Twitter's existed for way too long.
probably true.
Definitely true. But yeah, I mean, pretty much, I tried being the change I wanted to see and everything like that. I tried becoming a reviewer for a website even. And yeah, I got to see exactly what the problem is with the entire industry. It's cliquish, and if you don't toe the line they want you to toe, they push you out. And I'm like, well, that's cool. That's why this thing's garbage and remains garbage to this day, except it's slightly better because now they've actually started doing some degree of journalism. Some.
So,
Like,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, no, if I ask a question, it's going to derail your present thought
Oh no,
completely.
that's
So,
my that's into my thought. I don't have deep thoughts. I'm pretty surface level.
this will be a quick interview then. Uh, so you saw the hashtag and you thought this was important to you, right? Why do you want to get involved in this? Why do you care about this?
Well, because like I said, I mean, I've been a gamer for most of my life, and like coming up, I remember back when the games journalists actually had the power in the situation. You look at some of the older game magazines where literally developers were begging to be featured. You know, and so it was the magazines that had the power to basically publish or not publish, to write or not write what they wanted to write about someone, right? And then you flash forward to the time like when I think it wasn't oh good lord, I should have looked up his name. The guy who made Giant Bomb. He got ousted from his review post because he gave a game a bad review when it deserved a bad review. And it's like, why? Because of corrupt practices, because they don't want to offend the publisher. And then you take that to an extreme. You look at like what actually happened after Gamergate, some years after Gamergate, when all the Blizzard story comes out, and you have Jason Schreier, the bastion of journalistic integrity that everyone referred to in Gamergate as one of the good ones, saying, "Oh yeah, I heard about that, but I just never investigated it." I'm like, bro, seriously, like you have a real news story that could really have helped people, including saving one person's life, and you sat on it so you could keep your freaking access.
Oh,
You know,
Pawkeshup, why do you do this to me? I'm pretty sure the last time you brought this claim up, I kind of pushed back because it was slightly more nuanced than that. And if it's
he
gonna end up,
basically he never admitted that it's the fact he would have lost access. That's the only thing he never admitted. But the fact is, if you look at the precedents around him, again, a journalist for giving a game a bad rating got cut off. Jim Sterling for giving people bad ratings stopped getting review copies. You know, it's a precedent in the industry that if you give them bad press, they just cut you off. You know, it's a precedent. So yeah, every journalist walked eggshells because they didn't want to lose their precious access. They didn't want to lose their stuff. And he said he had heard rumors and didn't investigate. And I can tell you why he didn't investigate. It's because he knew. He knew if he started poking around without some kind of backing, like what ended up happening eventually, and all the bad press started coming out, he was going against Blizzard, one of the biggest developers. You know, you shit on them, and you're going to lose access to all this exclusive content, all these, all these stories. You know, and you better have your story straight, because otherwise they're going to ruin your career, like they tried ruining everyone else who's ever tried to say anything against the big narratives that they want to spin. It's the same thing with like regular journalism these days. Say something wrong, you're going to lose access to the Republican or Democrat candidates. Say something wrong, and they're gonna start pushing against you in every way, shape, or form. Fuck, even the unity thing, you can see what's going on with that. People are fighting back against it. And now I bet you, now that the narrative's changed and they've come up with their updated statement, everyone's gonna start pushing back and saying, "Oh no, leave them alone, leave Unity alone. They did the right thing." It's like, no, the bullshit's still there. The bullshit is still there, and everyone's covering it like it's a big win. It's like it's not. But that's what the game press says. That's the narrative that's gonna be run with now. That's what it happens every freaking time now. It's so ridiculous. It's one of the things, like I saw you, one of the questions you had was who won Gamergate? I'm like, fucking no one. We all fucking lost. No one got what they wanted. Everyone gets more screwed.
back to the Jason Schreier thing, because this is gonna be in a book, and I don't feel like getting sued for libel. It is slightly more nuanced than that. He did say, "I've." This is his direct quote.
Mm-hmm.
Jason
I
Schreier
know.
said, "I'd heard rumors and anecdotes, but could never corroborate enough for an article for various reasons."
Yeah. And the various reasons are I'm too fucking chicken shit to go against Blizzard.
Oh, I mean, that's
Because
a fair interpretation, but like
because
that's
the second all of a sudden the news comes out, the best way for him to have done is to have kept his fucking mouth shut if he already knew. It's entertainment reporting is the same whether it's gaming or movies. There are these known secrets that no one talks about, because if you talk about them, you're going to be blackballed in the industry and you're going to be run out of town on a rail. Harvey Weinstein's the same way. Everyone knew Harvey Weinstein was an abuser. No one spoke out against him until the MeToo hashtag started. Danny Masterson, who just went to jail, everyone said they knew he was kind of weird. He's a Scientology creep. Everyone knew, and suddenly, now years down the line, he's finally convicted. It's like people have known this, and people do know this, and it's up to that person to stand up and just say, you know what, fuck my little career bubble. I'm gonna do what's right. And that goes for the people in Blizzard too. That goes for people in Blizzard too who knew the shit was going on and didn't speak up. The same goes for them too. Fucking speak up. There's things that are more important in life than having your dream career. It's helping an actual human being, because your career means shit. Your career means shit. No one's gonna remember you for the most part unless you were like one of the head top developers, or unless you're one of the community managers. No one's gonna remember you. but everyone will know you're one of the shits that sat in the Cosby suite because your picture will be right there. Everyone's gonna know that you went along with it, and everyone's just gonna assume you're a horrible person for not speaking out.
It sounds like you don't just take issue with ethics in games journalism, but with a lot of what you perceive as being corruption in our society at large.
Yeah. I reported someone at my own job. There was a guy who was on the floor talking about how he was screwing these women constantly, blah blah blah, all his fucking sexual exploits. And there's a female guard walking around looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. And I'm like, okay, fuck you. I'm reporting you because we had a good ethics line and I reported them.
When you said a female guard, was there a reason you brought up her gender?
Yes, because a guy is giving explicit sexual things and talking about women as if they're trash. Yes. I mean, that if that were my daughter walking around over there, yeah, I'd be like, why the fuck are you saying that kind of shit in front of my daughter at her work where she has no choice but to deal with you?
Oh, so she was being sexually harassed.
No, she wasn't being sexually harassed, not directly, but this guy is talking like not like quietly. He's shouting. It is midnight. We are on a dead floor in this building, right? So you can hear him end to end of the floor talking about how he's, I'm fucking sucking her clit and I'm fucking her and I'm gonna ditch her tomorrow because she's a fucking hoe and blah 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 blah. No 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 no. I'm just like, dude, you're at a job. You're at work. If you want to talk like this in the bar or at home, cool, perfectly fine. Don't talk like this at work. Don't degrade people at work. You want to show me how much of a shitbag you are? That's fine. I just won't be friends with you. That's for sure. But don't do it at work. Don't do it at work. Some of the shit that I dealt with when I was working for an IT company here in the States, because I was in Dell in Canada. I was working for a company here, a telecom company, and they were just straight up homophobic, saying they hated homosexuals. Straight up homophobic. Just blatantly talking about it on the floor. And it's like, I'm sorry. I have no tolerance for that kind of shit. I don't. I have a niece and a nephew who are both gay. I don't want them living in that kind of world. It's as bad as racism or anything else. So yeah, I speak up. That time I didn't because I was the only one on the shift that, like, again, this was a midnight shift. We're not midnight, but like an evening shift. We're the only team there, and everyone but me is talking about it. So at that time I knew if I spoke up, there's gonna be retaliation to me, because even the manager was involved in that one. At least for the one in Dell, it was only him, and everyone else was kind of like, haha, yeah, that's really funny. I'm on the phone with a client right now. Can we keep it down? It's like we were an inbound call center for Dell. It's like you're sitting there talking about that 5 feet from a client. It's like, bro, like, save it for the bar. Save these stories for the bar.
Let's go meta for a second. Are you sure you want your place of work mentioned in the book? Your former place of work?
Dell, yeah, Dell. I don't care.
Okay.
I've said that several times. I worked at Dell on Twitter. That I didn't mention the telecom company because that might be a little bit problematic. But the other that company, no, I've mentioned that I've worked at Dell for years, and I don't like. Do you know how many people have worked for Dell? I was in a
Probably
building of
hundreds of thousands or millions.
I worked in a building of 5,000 people. I don't really care. I'm very proud of my time at Dell. I enjoyed Dell. It was a good company to work for. Probably one of the best. Like, I have nothing bad to say about the company, and the ethics hotline just took an anonymous report and say la vie. And if it ever gets back to the guy, I don't give a shit. If it ever gets back to my former boss, I don't give a shit, because even he would know it's the right thing to do. I mean, you can't be doing that kind of shit at work.
No,
And
I
it was
agree.
just,
That's not appropriate behavior. I misheard you, by the
yeah,
way, about the
yeah,
guard thing
yeah,
at first.
yeah. It's just like she wasn't being directly harassed, but it doesn't really matter. I mean,
No, you can't talk about your coworkers that way. I agree.
but he wasn't even talking about the coworkers. He was just talking about his sexual exploits. Like, it was we were his private audience about how much of a fucking alpha he is and shit. It's like, no one cares, dude. No one cares. But mind you, we had a few great people at Dell. I got another great story, but it doesn't need to be in the book because it's completely off topic. But if you want to hear it, I can tell you it. It's probably the funniest and scariest thing I've ever had happen at work.
We can take this interview whatever direction you want to go, I guess, to
Yeah.
some extent.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to keep it on topic. The reason I'm mentioning this because it does play into that's my character. My character has always been to do the right thing, and that's to me that's what GamerGate was about, was to do the right thing. It's like, yeah, I get it. I get where this story started. It started with a bad relationship that someone was outing them, but then they ganged up and tried to silence him. And I'm like, that's not fucking right. That's not fucking right. Like, you can't use your access and your power to silence someone else's truth. You can't do that. That's not right. You know, is there two sides to every story? Sure. Maybe she had some other tales that she had to share too. But it's like, you can't just use your friends and power to bully people and make them shut up because you don't like what they're saying. That's no, that's a non-starter. And I mean, I saw that. I saw how basically gaming critics were they were talking about stuff that needed to be talked about. They were talking about the abusive practices in the workplace. They are now, but whenever they did, it was like a minor blip in the radar. It's like, and now with AI and stuff, and like, I watched this video today all about that kind of shit, about how we're turning a bunch of people into literal slaves in other countries to do IT work and shit. And I'm just like, where are the press outlets on this? Whether they be mainstream or gamer press, where are the outlets talking about this? They aren't. They're just towing the company line again, just like they were before GamerGate. They're just, following in line. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. AI is great, sir.
When you say turning people in the developing world into slaves, what do you mean?
MTurk. You ever heard of MTurk?
No.
MTurk is Amazon's mechanical work stuff. They pay people pennies on the dollar to do repetitive tasks. Like, you know how you do captchas and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what they're paid to do, to train AI. That's how AI is getting trained half the time, is they do all these picture things and they identify items. And that's how all these AI tools are being developed. All the stuff that's in Adobe and everything, that's where they're buying their data from. There and Appen, who I've actually worked for too. I can tell you, like, I didn't get what they were going for when I originally signed up, but I began seeing it. They basically hire people to give train data to AI at like rock bottom, you know, barely barely financially stable rates, and they tend to take people out of Venezuela and things like that are very much in desperation for money, and they make them just slave away for them for pennies on the dollar, like not even barely a minimum wage. It's insane. It's really insane what's going on, and the only people I'm seeing talk about it are random YouTubers. It's like, why is this not a press story? Why is this not in the news? Why is this not a journalistic story? And I can tell you why. It's because the companies that own the media don't want you to know about it, because they're the companies that are paying for this technology. And they're the ones that want this technology. And it's fucking disgusting. And it depressed the hell. It was the perfect thing to watch right before this interview, because it depressed the hell out of me. It's like, yeah, I got to mention this in the interview. I got to mention it somewhere, that the press still isn't doing anything in regards to actual journalism.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just Googling, can you get sued for things other people say in an interview?
No, if you want, I'll link you the video. You can look at it after.
No, it's fine, man.
It's not at all like, literally. Appen has a document about wage slavery on their website. I'm not shitting you. They actually have a fucking document about this
I'll just
on
put
their
allegedly
website.
in front of everything. It's fine.
Oh no! One sec.
Okay.
You doubt me.
No, I
You
don't doubt
doubt
you.
my power. You
It's
doubt
just, if
my
I'm
power.
publishing a book, I have to I can't just make accusations,
Hold
you
on
know?
a second.
That's not that I doubt you, man. You know what they say, trust but verify, which I'm sure you got the receipts. But dude, look, I gotta be careful.
Global, but one second. Global ethical sourcing and modern slavery policy on appen.com. Would you like me to link you?
Sure, you can send it to me, bro. But I'll probably not read it in the
There
moment
you
because
go.
we're live.
There
But
you go. I've sent it to you via DM. You can look at it after. You can verify this. And like the guy said in the video, having this says something about your policies. If you have to say this, if you have to say this, there might be something wrong.
well, do you think that capitalism is good for the developing world because it
No,
allows them
not for the
to?
developing world. No, no, no. I can tell you that right now. Working for Dell, yeah, I know. No, Dell intentionally would outsource to other countries because of the fact they could pay them far less than they could in the U.S. and they didn't have to provide them the same benefits that they would have to provide U.S. or Canadian citizens. They could pay them pennies on the dollar compared to what they pay us. And most of the way Dell structures their training, their resources, and whatnot, that's the bad side of Dell. Most of that stuff was designed to be turnkey for any country, and just basically the reason why you get bad support from Dell half the time is when you go to another country, they're literally just reading lines on a script. They've just been drilled to learn this stuff, sometimes phonetically. Because I knew a guy who worked there that actually worked over he called it his back home. He actually worked with me at Tim Hortons in Canada. You can tell that too. You can put that in the book too. There's
Hey,
lots of Tim
anything you
Hortons in
feel
Canada.
comfortable putting in here. But I swear,
Um,
if it's an allegation, I might have to put allegedly, bro. I don't know.
no,
I don't feel
no,
like getting sued.
this guy when he started at Dell did not speak English. He legitimately did not speak English. He learned English by phonetically telling people and clients the answers to their questions. He learned phonetically. That's how he shadowed someone, and that's how he learned to speak English. That's his story. That's straight from him. You can say that's alleged or whatnot, but I mean, it wasn't like a crime or anything. It just that's how turnkey Dell is. They literally give you scripts, and if you can learn to read phonetically and learn to pick up on keywords and what people are saying, you can follow through one of their decision trees and help someone out. Like I can take anyone who's not tech, take them through a Dell training, take them to Dell serves network solutions, and they can give an approximation of tech support. That's the bad side of Dell. It's great for like every other corporation I've had. I wish they had that level of training, but the reason they have it is kind of a bad reason. But no, capitalism is not good for most developing countries unless that country is stable on its own, because they will get exploited. Like that's why, like I said, Appen is so prevalent in Venezuela. There's Discord servers that you can join that are or for this, and most of them are Venezuelans that are using scripts and whatnot to try and get through the hoops to keep working at Appen to get what money they can. So it's like that to me does not say healthy, you know.
So are these? Well, I can't talk about the specific Appen thing, but you don't think that when these companies invest in these developing countries, that these jobs are oftentimes better than the agricultural subsistence jobs that the people would have worked otherwise in
No,
many cases?
they're disruptive. They're a disruptive force. That's the problem. Is that if the concept is if you were to invest money for them to develop on their own and develop their own economy, that's wonderful because then they can develop their own products, their own goods, their own things, right? The reason they're subsistence farmers is because big corporations go there and buy their products cheaply to produce to send them and ship them and make tons of money off of their backs. Like look at the coffee industry. The coffee industry turned countries into subsistence farmers because they basically came in and said, "Hey, we want you to make all this coffee for us, and we're going to pay you pennies on the dollar what we're going to charge people back in the U.S. for it." That's where the whole fair trade started coming up when people started realizing how bad the practices about coffee sales were. You have Starbucks making $6 a cup, and that $6 is what someone earns for an entire day's work, like farming coffee for them. You know, it's ridiculous. It's so unchecked capitalism like that. No, is not good. Like capitalism is overall not a bad system. It's just unchecked, unregulated capitalism is not good. It ruins everything. It's ruining the United States right now. It's ruining every country on Earth.
Are you
Anyone?
good?
No, go ahead.
No, no, dude. If I interject early
No, I'm
too
good. I'm
soon,
good.
then okay. Are you sure?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. Fuck. Now I lost my train of thought.
Because here, I'm derailing. I'm derailing the whole conversation. I'm like, capitalism is bad. Blah, blah.
Well, no,
But
it's
what
it's an
about
interesting
GamerGate?
it's an interesting
Capitalism is
discussion,
bad.
and well, I'm sure there's gonna be like ways we can tie it back to GamerGate. And besides, like, if every interview I do for this book is just gonna be like, so yeah, dude, like games journalism sucks, and like,
Yep.
yeah, it's like no. I want to hear. This is pretty juicy. Let's dig into this. What do you do in your personal life to try and overcome these injustices that you see in the economy?
I can't. I'm a victim of one of these injustices. I've been in debt for years over knee surgeries. What can I do? I can't do anything. I'm making money to survive at this point. I've got a family I got to provide for, bills I got to pay. It's like, I'd love to be able to donate to causes or donate my time to the different things to help the world be a better place. I'm like a lot of people. I'm just here paycheck to paycheck, trying to make ends meet, and gaming is my one bastion of peace and all that. I go in a game to kind of phase away the day, and it's like move on and get to the next day. But I realize, like, I would love to make changes. I would love to see changes, but that takes money and power, and I have neither right now.
Yeah, I support universal health care, so you don't have
Yeah,
to
so do I.
convince me on this.
I was because okay. Here's one thing that people don't really think about when they start talking about how in Great Britain and in Canada the healthcare systems aren't working. Who fucking provides those healthcare systems with their medicines and their equipment? Do
Well,
you know?
I don't think that their
I
healthcare systems
know.
aren't working. I
No,
think
they aren't.
most
They don't. No,
people.
no, no. They're in trouble. They're in trouble. Britain has been underfunding theirs for a while, and Canada has struggled because of the Canadian brain drain. Because the United States owns most of the pharmaceutical companies. They own most of the medical technology companies, and they set the pricing rates for everybody. So the reason why like doctors don't stay in Canada is because they can come to the United States, work here for like 5 years, and make 10 times as much money than they can in the Canadian system. They could just make money hand or fist because of how abusive the pricing policies in the United States are for healthcare and how much salaries are. It's ridiculous. It's like the US messes up so much globally for everyone. There was a medication shortage over in Europe because a United States pharmaceutical company just didn't make enough stuff. And they own everybody. They buy out these companies. They buy out these companies globally, and then they just control supply. And it's just like, bro, the United States, do you not see how much your impact is having on the entire world? How you're screwing it up for everyone? You know, it's like the Daraprim guy. Remember, like Daraprim, the medicine that was for AIDS patients. That pricing upgrade wasn't just for the United States. That was global. That 1,000% or whatever he put it up by, that's global. Everyone had to pay that, including Canadian healthcare services. That's where the money goes. It goes to pay these companies because they still want their money at the end of the day. Even if like the country itself doesn't want to pay, they end up paying some degree of it. They can control some pricing, they can control some things, but at the end of the day, they get hit by it. It's crazy. It's insane. And yes, I want universal health care because I think that it's a universal health care, universal right for everyone to have the ability to go to the doctor and not die. Fuck me, right?